who will lead.
Good morning, everybody. We are starting the session with a prayer.
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटि सूर्य समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानां एकदन्तमुपास्महे नमस्तेऽस्तु महामाये श्रीपीठे सुरपूजिते शङ्खचक्रगदाहस्ते नारायणी नमोऽस्तुते गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः.
I take this opportunity to introduce Justice S.N.Kapoor to all the participants of this webinar. Actually, Justice S.N.Kapoor needs no introduction to ICAS members. All of us are familiar with him. He is associated with ICAS since inception. He succeeded Dr. B.V. Raman as President of ICAS. Professionally, Justice S.N.Kapoor was Justice of Delhi High Court when he retired from service. Justice Kapoor ji is very well known for his mentoring capabilities. He is a great researcher in astrology. We can see his footprints in many of publications. One of the publications where we can see his contribution significantly is the publication of ICAS, that is Splendors of Vargas. It is a must to read for those who are into astrology. In recognition of his contribution to astrology and ICAS has conferred Justice S.N.Kapoor ji with the title Jyotish Martanda. He is also honored with the Dr. B.V. Raman Swarna Samman, which is the highest title in ICAS. With this brief introduction, I request Justice Kapoor ji to speak on the topic marriage compatibility. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you, Gangachari. Thanks, Mr. Ravi Shukla, my younger brother, Dr. Anjanelu. All have been very close to me for one or the other reason. I will be just, it's my pleasure to speak on the in this series on started in the name of Dr. B.V. Raman. One thing which I would like that people should know, what is the purpose of marriage? Otherwise, what will happen? We miss the purpose. We miss the purpose, and we miss the purpose of life. It is a landmark, marriage is a landmark event in an individual's life, and his future happiness depends on it. Unlike some religions, which treat marriages as contracts for satisfying physical needs, Hindu religion recognizes marriage as a sanskar, a lifelong bond between husband and wife who have taken sankalp, pledge, at the time of marriage to jointly endeavor for dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. In absence, in this regard, I will be talking about three important factors, among others, considered for happy married life. One is Kujali dosh, another is Nadi dosh, and there is something which is slightly wider that relates to quality of marriage and Aprakash Grahas. Aprakash Grahas are not considered. I will be taking up this point at a later stage. Kujali dosh, how far it is important. Factors to be considered for Kujali dosh, planets and their strength and bhavas type of Mangali dosh that may be slightly interesting for you. Prachanna, hidden, just Sukshma Mangal, what we call Man Mangal and Part Mangal. We will take up this matter at a later stage when we come to these subtopics. I'm starting here with a small story. One Palaniswami visited Dr. V.B. Raman. Dr. V.B. Raman. According to Palaniswami, who based his opinion on two slokas indicating that Mars is positive in 2nd, 12th, 4th, 7th, 8th, and first from the ascendant, Moon and Venus, there would be Kujidosh. Dr. Raman drew inference that period was pretty bad for him as well as his grandfather. Dr. Raman expressed his misapprehension to his grandfather, who had lost his temper and retorted that Palaniswami was an apostate who only knows how to quote slokas but not to apply them. We have to go by experience, and an ounce of experience is worth than tons of theory. Dr. Raman felt that his doubts were resolved on Kujadosh by Mahamahopadhyaya, Shiv Shankar Shastri, who advised Dr. Raman not to lose his head in calculation and literal application of slokas. He explained how Kujadosh would get cancelled in following conditions or no Kujadosh is called. If Mars is posited in its own sign, in its exaltation sign, in exaltation Navansha or in Karka Navansha, if Mars is posited in 2nd in Mithuna or Kanya, no Kujadosh would occur. If Mars is posited in 4th in Mesha or in Vrashik, there could be no Kujadosha. If Mars is posited in the 7th in Karka or Makar, there would be no Kujadosha. If Mars is associated with Jupiter or Moon, there would be no Kujadesha. If Mars is associated with Rahu or Ketu, there will be no Kujadesha, though it is not borne out in practice. I may just say, if Mars is in Kendra, in own sign, in exaltation sign, or in exaltation Navansha, or in exaltation Navansha, then it would be forming Ruchakyo. If we consider that position, then it appears that the Kujidosh may not work in Ruchakyo. Similarly, there are other points which need consideration in the light of the position of the Mars in Mithun or Kanya. No Kurdosha would occur. Besides, his grandfather observed that no dosha, including Kurdosha, was exclusively evil. This is one of the most important factors. And in the ultimate analysis, Navansha chart should be carefully considered, and not just by seeing the birth chart. For birth chart may be totally misleading in view of its position. In view of its position, now is it Kujadosh or Kujadidosh? It's very convenient to say that a Kujadosh is only based on Mars. It's extraordinary. It is extraordinary that as if the only Mars is the culprit, and other malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, and sometimes the sun, are not malefic, but they cause harm. It is an accepted thing. In Tripura Jyotish, in chapter Veda Jatak, later it has been referred to in some detail. This table to calculate intensity of Mangalic dose, including all malefic planets in relation to their position in charts relating to first, seventh, and eighth. Just see, we have taken into consideration we are going to consider only in relation to Lagna, seventh and eighth. In case Mars or any malefic is in Lagna, it will certainly spoil the seventh house. And if it is in eighth, it will further spoil the married life. Just see, in this method, there are just nine divisions of a planet. In its exaltation sign, in its Mool Trikona sign, in its own sign, in its extremely friendly sign, in its friendly sign, in its even sign, in its inimical sign, or in extremely unequal sign, in its devolution sign. Just see, the Mangal dosh is just moving down up to fourth point, where it is in extremely friendly point, and then it is friendly sign. That's it. It again start increasing when it is in inimical sign or extremely in join or debilitated join. Now come to the houses. They are earlier related to house number 11, 7 and 8. Now the table calculates intensity of Magnetic dosh, including all malefic planets in relation to their position in charts relating to second house, fourth house, and 12th house. And the order is the same. I would request the listeners, those who are, they may take out a photocopy of these tables to help themselves in future. For the present, I am not discussing the horoscope. For calculation purpose, we will, in case time is left, we will consider it. Let's see what is happening. Both are Mangalic according to two standards. Male, the husband overall has 370% more Kuja dosh than his wife on the basis of calculation. We have found that generally the person who has a stronger Kuja dosh suffers more than his or her partner. It is very important to tell who is likely to suffer, wife or husband. But this observation cannot be taken as a rule and needs further verification. This is again an horoscope on this point, but cannot be discussed here, for it needs detailed discussion. Kuja dosh appears to be balanced in both the charts, but it is a case of early widowhood. Marriage of a scholar, geology leader in reputed university was performed with Mangli girl, as he had heavy Kuja dosh in his horoscope. But he suddenly expired at 41 years of age. The Indian government had acknowledged him for his contribution to the study of Himalayas and had been benefited by his research work there. In his horoscope, Kuja dosh is caused by Mars only, Whereas in his wife's birth chart, it is caused by Mars, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu. Just see, in the case of in that case, male has only 1 point of Mars, 70, and female has 192.50 points. Just see what happened. She became widow at a very early age. Apparently, Kujadosh is cancelled as Mars is pointed in the Lagna, posited in the Lagna of the female native and in the 12th house of the male native. But on balancing, we found 70 points of Kujadosh in male chart, while 192.50 points in the female chart. Thus, the Kujadosh of female is 275% higher than that of the male. This caused husband's sudden death on 19 July 1981, while his wife suffered the curse of widowhood at a young age. If Lagna 7th or 8th is occupied by any of these, having karma mangal, this dosa is to be worked out as under. If there is multiply, it's a calculation matter one has to do at his own place after noting the. Then coming to the cancellation Puja. Everybody says that this causes cancellation for those. Very well, it might be true. It may not be true. Let us see something. It is believed that if such a dosha is found in both the horoscope of bride and bridegroom of dosha, gets cancelled. It has already been pointed out that it will depend on the dosha indicated in both the charts. If one of them has Mars in Ravana, 2nd, 4th, 7th, or 8th, or 12th, and the other Saturn, Rahu, or Ketu in any one of the above options, then the defects get cancelled. It is also believed that the dosha does not operate after 28 years. This is a misnomer. For which those may continue even after completing of 28 years. Reason being that Mars Dasha has not reached, and further, the Dasha, Mars Dasha may come in the early childhood, or it may come after 65 years. Then one can very well consider that one may ignore for childhood would be over by the time of marriage. And it will be too late in the day to think that even after 65 years nobody would die. So this is a practical approach in this regard. It is also below that this dose does not operate. I've already discussed. The kush dosh effect of effect of the kush dosh depends on the longevity of the life, calculated otherwise. If he has long life, if he is financially supportive of the family, he should be sound of moral, and married life should be happy. This is assumption. But age is one thing which can be surely considered. Similarly, for choosing a bride, the emphasis has to be on high morality and good looks, behavior and capacity for adjustment, happy in religion and traditional values, ability to look after children and give them fine upbringing, ability to look after children, the same thing, long disease-free life while matching horoscope with basic astrological principles must be kept in view. These are benefits in Kendra and Trikona are good and promote happiness. Marriage in third, sixth, or 11th promote happiness by lending strength to the horoscope, keeping in check the manifestation of negative factors. Dr. B.V. Raman's view, as given in his book Electional Astrology, is quoted here for guidance. Granting that Kujudosham is a factor whose occurrence should not be ignored, there are antidotes which are not generally known to the rank and file of Hindu astrologers. The exceptions, as stated by him, are as under. In the second house, Mars is not bad in the sign of Mercury, that is Gemini and Virgo. In fourth, Mars does not give rise to Mangal dosh in case it is a rise or a Scorpio. It will form Ruchak Yoga. In the seventh, Mars does not give any dosh in the signs of Cancer, is debilitation sign, and Capricorn, the exaltation sign. In Capricorn, it will again form Ruchak Yoga. In the eighth, does not give rise to dosha in the signs of Jupiter, Sagittarius, and Pisces. In that case, if it is Sagittarius, the 11th lord would be Pisces, and in case it is in Pisces, the 5th lord would be Sagittarius, in Sagittarius, and it may be stated here, according to Nadi rule, lords of Lagna, 5th and 9th, just promote the happiness and not otherwise. Secondly, in case Mars is in case Jupiter is in Sagittarius, it is in its own sign. If one takes the Venus in the 12th house, there is no dosha in the signs of Venus, Taurus or Libra. Why? It is said that in 12th, Kalpurusha, it is mean, and mean is the exaltation sign of Venus. In so far as the other aspect is concerned, Taurus or Libra, if it is Taurus, then Libra, Taurus or Libra, then again something which is very unusual may be considered. According to him, there is no full dosh in sign Leo or Aquarius. Why? One thing is that the sign Leo is Mitat and Mars is also Mitat. There is no Sattva. Sattva is the concept of Ayurveda, which means that there should not be Sattva, any conflicts of elements. Conflicts of elements in order to avoid any unhappiness or any ailment Mars does not confer dosha if it is exalted or its own house or its exaltation avanza. It is harmless in Cancer or Leo. As regards Cancer, Mars in Cancer would be debilitated. But what will happen? What will happen? It will be aspecting Lagna also. Assume Kujari Dosh cancellation. There are certain assumptions wherein it is assumed that Kujari Dosh is cancelled. One must not forget the basic principle. Planet in Shub Panchak is Shub, and in Ashub Panchak, Ashub. Debilitated planet is Ashub. Karak Mangal is Shub. So just see in case Mangal is Karak, then it is Shub. Otherwise debilitated, it is not Shub. And that relates to the position of different placements of Mars. If those becomes operative in early age, or in cases of 60, practical reasons permit the alliance, but not in case yoga becomes operative in between 20 to 60. Manglik dosha and illogical grounds. Mangal Rahu Yoga. Ordinary fully or full, accepting again when Mars is Yoga. Wherever Mars becomes Yoga, that will help it. There will be cancellation. In case it is not Karak, it is not exalted, it is not in Utsan, it's not in Mool Trikona, then it will cause harm. Jupiter Mars Yoga. Just see, Jupiter debilitates in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. No doubt, Shubh Mangal, Jupiter causes one yoga of making wealthy and rich and highly educated. But it is not good for family life to a certain extent. They just see this Chandra Mangal Yoga, this Mangalik Yoga again, conflict. Chandra is the debilitation lord of Mars. And Mars is debilitation lord of Chandra. There is a conflict between the two, apparent conflict. But it is nullified to a certain extent, subject to the condition that moon is strong. It is generally very well known that weak moon is a weakness of the entire chart in respect of all factors. Karak and Sima Lagna and Mangalik Yoga. Mangal must be Shubh Panchak Yoga Karak, not alone Yoga Karak. If Mars is Ashubh Panchak, it would increase arming capacity. Jupiter's aspect on Mars. It may help in reducing harm if Mars is in 4th or 12th house. Not in every case. If Mars is debilitated or combust or retrograde houses, Mars those reduce its harming capacity. Shanti is which may be prescribed. Many shantis or remedial measures are prescribed for Mangli girls, especially of Ashtamangal, and these are Kumbh Vivaha, marriage with Kumbh, Savitri, Savitri Vrat, Mangal Gauri. These should be performed under proper guidance. Let us test these rules by giving some examples from an article by K.N. Rao, Journal of Astrology. Husband main features of the horoscope that there is a clear case of Kuldosh. Mars is in fourth with Rahu, aspected by Saturn. Seventh Lord Jupiter is enemy. Rashi heavily afflicted. Moon was exalted. Saturn in the seventh. The seventh Lord Venus is enemy Rashi, which is also a barren sign. In Navanta, seventh Lord Saturn in the sixth aspect of sixth Lord Jupiter. I think better it would be in case a photograph is taken of this chart. Like husband Mars in fourth house is in enemy Rashi. Seventh Lord afflicted but received aspect of Jupiter from Moon. Seventh Lord is Moon is not afflicted. In Navanta, seventh house is aspected by its own Lord. There is one Nadi rule which is required to be referred here. If any planet, if any malefic planet aspects its own house, then it reduces Jeev Sukh and does not give the Jeev Sukh as is expected otherwise. Dosham is a balancing of dosha. You know it very well, and I need not spend time on it. Unpleasant result of Mars in the fourth house. All classical books have condemned Mars in the fourth house unless it is exalted or in its own house when it gives rise to Mahapurush Rochak Yoga. It destroys, in any case, domestic happiness for a reason which is known as Tattva Viparya. If fourth house is watery house, is a watery house, and Mars is Agni. If they are together, one will not be existent, one would suffer. This causes domestic happiness, particularly in relation with bandhus and mother. It is the strongest negative factor of a horoscope. It hinders the flow of other effects or good yogas. There is no happiness from the friends, nagging financial troubles, bad house to live in, which may catch fire, is cruel, lacks in gratitude, is troublesome to parents, and is in debt. These horoscopes were matched properly. There was no death of a spouse. The marriage lasted even after 20 years of marriage. Though the defects were cancelled out, yet the marriage was not happy. The husband said wife is mentally imbalanced. They had a bitter and acrimonious married life with all charm of married life missing, and eventually decided to separately live apart. Concluding, it has been very unhappy marriage. Mars in the fourth house is both cancelling dosha, has given them sufficiently long married life, but it has married life with all bitterness and quarrels, because seventh house lords are also afflicted. In the horoscope of wife, Mars is in the eighth house, and there is a clear Mangal dosh. Saturn in the horoscope of a husband is in Dhanu, where wife's Mars is placed with two other planets, Sun and sixth Lord Venus. After a long marriage, she decided to leave her husband as, according to her, he was mentally unfit. In case of Menka Gandhi, wife of Sanjay Gandhi, has Kujadosh with Mars in 8. In her husband's horoscope, Mars is in 12, technically cancelling Kujadosh. It did not, because in her horoscope, 7th Lord Saturn is afflicted also by being in Rahu Ketu axis. Sanjay Gandhi had a short span of life because Lagna Lord Saturn was retrograde in the 7th, aspected by Mars. Here, I would like to pause for a while. It may be mentioned that a debilitated planet, a retrograde planet, and a combust planet reduces the happiness of Jeev Sukh. Jeev Sukh means relations indicated by concerned planets. Sanjay Gandhi has a short span of life. Lagna Saturn was retrograde in the 7th, aspected by Mars. Moreover, Moon is in 8th is not good for longevity. The 8th Lord of longevity, Sun, is in 11th house with 6th Lord Mercury with Ketu behind it and Mars ahead. So there was a Pap Kakari as well. He died in an air crash. He died in an air crash on 23rd June. Nadi is one of the most important facets of matching. One must consider why Nadi is important. Nadi belongs to Nadi effect belongs to the genes which we inherit from our parents. If their genes are conflicting in so far the nadis are concerned, then there would be a lot of problem. And this importance we will be reading later on. What is the nadi relevance in happy marriage life and added advantages? So far the happiness is concerned, it is a matter of one's feeling and approach to the life apart from other physical and genetic factors. The nadi controls genetic factors. Nadi cannot be ignored in respective caste, Khatri, Bash and Shudra. There was a very good, very interesting question about Nadi Dosh. One of our students has a daughter, and both the boy and the girl both have agreed to marry only with each of them. Uncle of the gentleman was Pandit. He found Nadi dosh. A question arose whether there was Nadi dosh. I was confused. I asked him to read as many books as possible, and I rented those books to him. After reading it, he came to me that according to this reading, there is no Nadi dosh. And I go and show it to your uncle. The marriage took place 10 years ago. They are living happily till today. There are three nadis related to three physical and psychological humors, depending on Vata, Pitta, and Shleshma. Though nadis mean several things, but in reference to astrology, in present context, nadi signifies pulse or nerves energy indicating the physiological and to a certain extent hereditary factors. The Hindu medical works refer and use these three nadis for the purpose of treatment to regulate appropriate portion of the humors in one's body. Hindu Vedic astrologers used to see well-being of the couple by assessing impact due to physical relationship on couple, as well as one of the spouse on one hand and on the other, and on the capability to procreate healthy and intelligent children. For the aforesaid purpose, all the 27 constellations have been divided into three nadis, Adi, Mad, and Ant. Just see, following is the table indicating the nadis and their nature. This moves in different directions. It comes up to Pratika in the ordinary way, but it returns back to Rohini, Mrakshira, and Aridra, and then comes to Punarvasu, Push, Aslesha. It is going like this. In case one keeps this in mind, one can easily note the nadis. These nadis indicate different tattvas, and they cause and cure both in case proper treatment is given. To the husband and wife, and as well as to the children born out of such marriages. This classification is generally accepted for the purpose of marriages everywhere. However, it may be there are 4 or 5 nadis also in South India even today by considering Raju nadis, etc. considered. According to Bradgarh, in Kurujangal, today's Haryana and Western UP and Rajputana, 4 nadis were prevalent. In Madhya Bharat, 4 nadis were prevalent. In Panchal, 5 nadis were prevalent. But in all important classical works, 3 nadis have been accepted. Dr. B.B. Raman also stated that if Nadi Kuta is not present on the basis of nakshatra, now this is an extension of Nadi, is not present on the basis of nakshatras, then same may be reckoned taking into consideration nakshatrapada. What is nakshatrapada? Nakshatrapada is nothing but Navansha. And if these very tattvas conflicting tattvas are found in Navansha, then the same result should be there, that the different quarters will be governed by three numerals. And a table is given here for all to understand. Beginning from Ashwini 1, the counting should be done forwards and backwards in threes, as given above. Physical relationship and the impact of three humors, ek nadi dosh. In astrology, nadi simply means pulse, indicating body chemistry, governing nervous system. Our body is full of different kinds of nerves and innumerable pulses. So a proper compatibility of nadi is very essential and has been allotted the maximum 8 points for marital harmony and happiness. It is mentioned in our ancient books that generally ailments are caused by excess or imbalance of three humors, Vata, Kapha, and Pitta, and they are source of various kinds of diseases and troubles. Pitta changes the food juice into blood. Kapha greases the joints, bones, and other organs. Balance of Vata keeps the body free from certain ailments. One need not say that Nadi Deosh is based on Jan Nakshatra. In ordinary parlance, it means nakshatra occupied by the moon. It should not be confused with the Lagna or Nam Nakshatra. But ingenuity of Indian mind lies in finding ways and means to find light in the darkness. If the bride and bridegroom have same nadi, say Adya, Vayu, then due to excess of Vata, the wife may suffer widowhood. In case both are Madhya nadi, then due to excess of Pitta, the bride may not survive for long. If the couple is born in Adi nadi, their conjugal bliss is enveloped in atmosphere of miseries, widowhood, or divorce. In other words, the conjugal bliss will be absent. In addition to this, there will be tension in regard to health. If the couple is born in Madhanadi, one of them may die. Oh, no. The children of a couple belonging to the same nadi may have deficiencies like less hemoglobin in blood or lack of concentration in studies. Work and their children may suffer from ill health. Sometimes their brain is not completely developed or they lack sharp retentive memory and consciousness. If they are born in different nadis, then their children will be born with appropriate proportion of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the children will be sound in sound health. Mahesh Varame refers to earlier astro savants in his classical work to emphasize that if the couple is born in Madhanadi, there may be loss of husband, while in the case of other Nadi, Adi or Ant, there may be death of wife. Acharya Baramir also mentioned that if Nadi dosh is present in the horoscope of the bride or groom, and in addition to this, if the couple is born in nearby constellation, then the death of wife is certain within 1 year, or she has to suffer with widowhood within 3 years. The Ek Nadi dosh leads to diminished marital bliss. To avoid such a situation, it is strongly advised that couple needs to be of different nadi for the proper balance of Vata, Kapha, and Pitta to avoid ill health of the couple and their children. According to nadi dosh must be considered seriously in all the horoscope irrespective of caste. A few Karmakandi Pandits advise considering Nadi Desh only in Brahmins and not in other Varnas. It is wrong and unacceptable. What is the poison for one Varna? It is a poison for all Varnas. There is no exception on this ground. However, there are some exceptions, but they are required to be seen with some circumspection. In our view, various exceptions given below for the neutralization of Nadi dosh ordinarily should not be given much importance, particularly when one melting point is less than 18. Mind it, it's a question of balancing. Less than 18 points in matching, then Nadi dosh cannot be neutralized, and don't think that it will be neutralized. Dr. B.B. Raman has mentioned that the evil due to Nadi Kuta can be ignored subject to the following condition. The Rashi and Raji Kuta prevails. The Rashi and the same planet is Lord of the Janma Rashi of both the male and female. The Lords of Janma Rashi of the couple are friends. These differ as regards the results accruing from the Janma Rashi being common. According to Narad, common Janma Rashi would be conducive to the couple provided they are born in different constellations. Note, same Rashi but different constellations. Gargo finds that under the above circumstance, the asterism of the boy should precede that of the girl if the marriage is to prove happy. Supposing the one is born, both are born in Mesha, then the nakshatra, Jam nakshatra of the husband should be preceding, should come from earlier than the Istri Puru. In case the reverse holds good, Istri Puru, the constellation the girl proceeds, that of the boy, the alliance should be rejected. Just one thing here by the way of explanation. Istri is governed by even signs. All even signs are Mradul, and they need that kind of situation. If they have to lead, they will have to face many such circumstances which they may find it difficult to face. And that is work of the Agni, not neither of Jal nor Prithvi. This view is supported by other sages, Brahaspati and Bhrigu. In fact, the author of Muhurta Tattva goes to the extent of saying that in cases of common Janma Rashi, provided the man's constellation is preceding the girls, the kutas are adaptably need not be applied at all. One has to disagree with this approach. Common Jan Nakshatra. This provides another Pandora box. Nakshatra are the same. It is said that out of 27 nakshatras, Rohini, Adidra, Mragshira, Makha, Push, Ast, Vishaka, Uttarvad, and Revati is common nakshatra of the bride and bridegroom. Then there being no Nadi dosh, marriage is approved. There may be something there is something which is underlying, and I have not been able to find any very feasible logic. Our Matlatravadi and Dr. Suresh include Nakshira and Pushya in these 8 nakshatras instead of Mota, and which have been preferred by Dr. V. Raman. As such, these nakshatras are common or are approved by majority, though some differ. According to Parashar quoted by Keshwar, marriage shall be Shubh if there is pathway. What is that pathway? It means that if pada of nakshatra are first and fourth, meaning thereby Jal and Agni, second and third, Vayu and Prithvi, then dosha will not be cancelled. In Pushya Nakshatra, it is said that pathway is necessary. She adds subsequently. But followers of Vasishtha and Vidhiratna are of the view that even if both have same pada, in the aforesaid nakshatra there is no nadi dosh. This cuts at the very root and logic of nadi dosh. According to Dr. Raman, the effect would be ordinary if the Kamanjan nakshatras are Ashwani, Kritika, Mrigashira, Punarvasu, Pushya, Uttara, Chitta, Anuradha, Purvasada. If Uttarasada, Bharani, Ashlesha, Swati, Jyeshtha, Mula, Dhanishta, Sadvisha, and Purvadpada are common, Jan Nakshatra marriage is not approved. If the Jan Nakshatra belongs to 2 signs, the father of the bride should be related to preceding sign. For example, if Kritika is the common Jan Nakshatra, the bride should have Jan Rashi in Mesha and bridegroom in Vrashabha. समझाना बड़ा मुश्किल है. In the illustration mentioned above, the husband and wife are born in Punarvasu Nakshatra in different quarter and in different rashis, constituting cancellation of nadi dosh. Yet there has been inordinate delay in the birth of a child. Favorable Dasha Bhukti and transit of Jupiter has not blessed the couple. As the couple are devotees of Ma Durga, they were advised to recite 2 malas of the following mantra. That is Durga, the mantra daily from Durga Saptashri, and take medical treatment. The horoscope have 23.536 matching points. In Vivah Kotuvalam, it is said, if natural benefics say Mercury, Jupiter, Venus are common Rashi lords, then there is no effective nadi dosh. Prabhupada suggested on the basis of our experience that if Lagna Melapak, Bhav Melakap, Krah Melapak are strong, they will nullify even Nadi, Gana, and Graha Matri dosh. The restrictive padas, many couple having much less matching points lived happily, whereas couple having 30 points suffered. Katridi they were rightly suggested that only 10% importance should be given to Ashtakut matching. Restrictive padas of nakshatras. Ashlesha first pad is harmful to the mother of the husband. Vishakha first last pad is supposed to be harmful to the younger brother of the husband. Jyeshtha first pad is supposed to be harmful to elder brother of the husband. Moola first pad is supposed to be harmful for father-in-law. Dr. B.V. Raman has mentioned certain exceptions to Eknadi dosh, and those exceptions are quoted below. The evil due to Nadi Kuta can be ignored subject to the following conditions. Rashi and Rajikuta prevail. The same planet is Lord of the Janma Rashi of both the male and female. The lords of Janma Rashi of the couple are friends. We shall now give certain contingency arising by virtue of common Janma Rashi, common birthday star, and absence of certain kutras. The absence of Stri Dirgha may be ignored if Rashi Kuta and Grahamatri are present. If the Rashi of the girl is odd, the sixth and eighth Rashi is there from are friendly. If the Rashi of the girl is even, the second and twelfth therefrom become friendly. The evil due to the birth of bride in a Rakshas Gam, a star, may be ignored if Janma Rashi being second and twelfth and ninth and fifth or sixth and tenth, the lords of Rashis are the same, are mutual friends. The Grahamatri is by far the most important. It need not be considered if the couples have their Janma Rashi disposed in 1 and 7 from each other. Raju Kuta need not be considered in case Grahamatri and Rashi, Dina and Manva Kutas. Now I am just in many cases, Jan Rashi of the Jan Nakshatra of the bride and bridegroom would be the same. A special attention needs to be paid by astrological writers to such exceptions. One, I would just like to add a few sentences about the second part of Grath Parashar Horosha, where it is said that the second part is Nishyant, means whatever is said in second part, that will happen. It may be mentioned that in Saptadi Guhan, one has to see whether both are Sattvic, Rajasic, Adham, or Udasin. Along with Udasin, Tamasic persons can be married. Along with Tamasic and Sattvic would not match very well. In case of Rajasic and Sattvic, the match may very well. On this basis, BPHS indicates that employee and master and employees chart could also be seen in this regard. It may further be added that on this basis it says that the Sattvadik gunas, in Sattvadik gunas, the guna of the husband should be considered. Now, coming back to aprakashta and marital bliss. Different aprakashta, their impact through different bhavas during dasha of their dispositors. I will just, I think I have time. In Grant Parashar Horashastra, third chapter, Mahesh Parashar enumerates about 5 aprakashta, 5 upgrahas, and Pranapad, Mantreshwar, and Gopesh Kumar Oja too have mentioned about their influences. Rearranging the lordship of Prakashgraha and Upagraha is to be referred into the chart or in this list. It may mention that while matching, we do not bother about mandatory consideration made by mandatory consideration laid down by no person less than the Parashar himself. It appears necessary and mandatory that results of Surya, the planets, and apragraha should both be considered for reconciling conflict between the positive or negative results in both matters. If results of both are contradictory, one favorable, another unfavorable, it must indicate just moderate results, sometimes playing seesaw. If both are favorable, extremely good result will be caused. In case it is otherwise, then moderate results may be found. It must be noted that aprakashta give their results during dasha, etc. of their dispositors. Effect of Dhuma in different houses. As a matter of fact, we have selected these aprakashta in relation to marriage alone, not in matters of other things. And this must not be forgotten. Effect of Dhuma in different houses. In first house, if Dhuma is situated in the ascendant, the native will be valiant, endowed with charming eyes, is to fight in nature, unkind, vicious, and highly short-tempered. Whether any girl would like a highly short-tempered husband. In second house, if Dhuma is situated, the native will be sickly, wealthy, devoid of limb, will incur humiliation at royal level, be dull-witted and be eunuch. Who will marry with such a boy? In fourth house, in case Dhuma be placed in the fourth house, the native will always remain mentally troubled because of being given up by his wife. But he will be learned in all the shastras. Learning is different thing. Marital happiness is totally different thing. In seventh house, in case Dhuma planet is gone, in the seventh house, the native will be poor, be always sensual, is skillful in going to others' females, and be always devoid of radiance. In 10th house, if Dhuma is placed in the 10th house, the native will be blessed with sons, fortunes, and be contented, intelligently, happy, and ever truthful. I've taken both sides of Pradesha Dhuma. In 11th, if Dhuma is situated in 11th house, the native will be endowed with wealth, grains, gold, be handsome, will have knowledge of arts, be humble and skillful in singing. If Dhuma is placed in 12th, the native will be morally degraded, will indulge in sinful acts, be interested in other people's wives, hard-hearted and crafty. Now let us see the results of Vetipat. If Vetipat occupies the 7th house, the native would be bereft of wealth, wife and sons, or will be governed by his wife, be miserable, shameless, unfriendly to others. Paridhi and Parvesh are Parvesh. In 3rd house, if Vyatipat falls, in 3rd house, if Vyatipat falls, in the 3rd house, the native will be stable-minded and will be warrior, be charitable, wealthy, dear to the king, and be head of an army. In 5th house, in case Vyatipat is situated in the 5th house, the native will be poor, be charming in appearance, and the truthful in 7th, Vyatipat occupies the 7th house, the native will be bereft of wealth, wife, and sons. If Vyatipat is placed in the 11th house, the native will be very wealthy, be honorable, truthful, firm in policy. Impact of chaff or marital bliss, on marital bliss. Chaff or dhanu, you can say. They, in 3rd house, if chaff is situated in, the native will be wiser, be well versed in various arts, be given to thieving, be devoid of some dim and unfriendly. In 8th house, chaff is gone. In case the chaff is gone to 8th house, the native will be interested in other jobs, be cruel and traverse others' wives, will be defective limb. In 10th house, and in 10th house is situated with chaff. The native will be endowed with many sons, abundant wealth, cows, buffaloes, etc., and will be famous among men. In 11th house, chaff, having gone in the 11th house, the native will get profit, be free from diseases, be of very angry nature, affectionate to his wife, and will have knowledge of mantras and be skillful in the use of forms. In 12th house, if chaff is placed, the native will be very wicked, given to much pride, evil-minded, shameless, will traverse other wives and be penniless. Impact of Upket or Sikhi. In 2nd house, if Sikhi is situated in the 2nd house, the native will be an eloquent speaker, sweet spoken, will have brilliance, will write poetry, be scholarly, honorable, humble, and endowed with conveyances. In 3rd, the native will be majorly cruel in acts, in body, poor, and will contract severe diseases. In 7th house, if Dhwaja is placed in the 7th house, the native will be interested in gambling, be sensual, will enjoy pleasures, and will befriend prostitutes. In 8th house, If Dhwaj is gone in the 8th house, the native will engage himself in base acts, be sinful, shameless, will blame others, be devoid of marital happiness, and will take other side. If in 10th house, the native will be endowed with happiness and fortune, be dear to beautiful women, be charitable and will have contact with Brahmins. In 12th house, the case of Sikhi being gone in 12th house, the native will be interested in sinful acts, be valiant, be without reverence, cruel, interested in other people's wives, and very short-tempered. Impact of Gulika and marital bliss. In first house, if Gulika is situated in the ascendant, the native will be afflicted by diseases, will always have lustful desires, be sinful, crafty, and vicious, very miserable. In second house, when Gulika is situated, the native will be unsightly in appearance, miserable, mean, given to vices, shameless, and penniless. In fourth, the native will be sickly, will be renounced by the happiness, always engaged in sinful acts, and is afflicted by windy and bilious. In fifth house, in case Gulika is situated in fifth house, the native will be praiseworthy, be poor, short-lived, spiteful, mean, be a eunuch, be subdued by his wife, and be heterodox or atheist. In sixth house, when Yama's son Gulika is situated in the sixth house, the native will have no enemy, be strong-limbed, endowed with brilliance, be clear to his wife, will be dear to his wife, enthusiastic, be of fixed mind, and be helpful to the people. In seventh house, Gulika and the native will be subdued by his wife, be extremely sinful, will go to other females, be emaciated, devoid of friendship, and will live on vice wealth. On one hand, he goes to other females, but lives on vice wealth. In ninth house, in ninth house, if Gulika is in ninth house, the native will face many hardships, be emaciated, will do evil deeds, be very unkind, dull-witted, and be a tale-bearer. 8. In 11th house, if Gulika is situated, in 11th house, the native will enjoy sexual intercourse with a woman of class, be a leader of men, be engaged in the will, being well-being of his relatives, be short-statured, and an emperor. In 12th, in case Gulika is gone to 12th house, the native will indulge in base deeds, be sinful, handicapped, unfortunate, indolent, and will copulate with a base woman. If the generally all the old works have deprecated presence of Gulika in different houses. However, Faldipka has said something which is totally unusual. A lord of the sign in which Gulika is placed, if is strong, in own sign or exalted sign. House of a friend. Then the native is very handsome, famous and ruler of the earth. The